All right, let's dive in. Today, we are unlocking the incredible world of Baroque music. That style that's just dripping with drama, passion, and these amazing, intricate details. We're going to find out exactly what makes it tick.
Have you ever put on some classical music and just thought, whoa, there is a lot going on here? Where it feels like all these different melodies are weaving around each other, building this massive, glorious wall of sound? Well, chances are you were listening to music from the Baroque era. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain and see exactly how they did it.
So here's our roadmap. First, we'll get our bearings and define what the Baroque era even is. Then, we'll meet the brilliant composers who shaped it. After that, we'll open up their musical toolkit, and then we'll check out the huge vocal pieces they created. And finally, we'll listen for how this music still echoes in our world today.
Okay, first things first, let's set the stage. What on earth do we even mean when we say the word Baroque? It's not just a fancy word for old music. It's a very specific slice of history. We're talking about the 150 years between 1600 and 1750. This was a time when everything in Europe was big, bold, and dramatic. The art, the architecture, and the music was no different. It was all about being grand, elaborate, and just overflowing with emotion. Now, of course, music this amazing doesn't just write itself. It was crafted by some seriously brilliant people, real geniuses. So let's put some faces to the names and meet a few of the masterminds who defined the sound of the era.
This timeline gives you a really cool snapshot. We've got the Italian trailblazer, Monteverdi, who pretty much invented opera. Then you have guys like Germany's Johann Pachelbel and England's Henry Purcell. But here's the really wild part. The two undisputed heavyweights of the late Baroque, J.S. Bach and G.F. Handel, they were born in the exact same year, 1685. Can you imagine that? What a year for music.
So, what was their secret? How did these composers create music that sounds so distinctly Baroque? Well, they had a special set of tools and techniques. So let's pop the hood on the Baroque sound machine and see what's inside. Okay, the number one most important concept is that Baroque music is polyphonic. Now, what does that mean? Well, think of it like a really good conversation where several people are talking at once. But instead of being a chaotic mess, all of their sentences weave together to create this beautiful, complex tapestry of sound. Each part is doing its own thing, but it all fits together perfectly.
A great example of polyphony is the canon. This is basically musical follow the leader. One instrument starts a tune, and a few seconds later, another one comes in with the exact same tune, creating these awesome overlapping layers. It's like a musical echo that harmonizes with itself. And if that sounds familiar, it should. Johann Pachelbel used this very technique to write his famous canon in D. You've heard it, I promise. The name isn't just a name. Pachelbel's canon is literally a canon. That right there is the big aha moment.
All right, next tool in the box, the ground bass. This is the foundation of the music. It's a short little melody way down in the bass that just repeats over and over and over. It acts like a solid anchor, holding everything down while all the fancy stuff happens on top. This repeating pattern also has another name, an ostinato.
The English composer Henry Purcell absolutely loved using a ground bass. He used it to write some of the most beautiful and heartbreaking music ever, like in the famous aria Dido's Lament. That repeating bass line just gives the piece this powerful sense of destiny, like you can't escape it. It's brilliant. And now for the final boss of Baroque techniques, the fugue. This is like the ultimate musical puzzle. It starts with one main theme called the subject. Then, one by one, other instruments or voices pick up that same theme and run with it, chasing each other in this incredibly complex and clever game of musical hide-and-seek. And if you're going to talk about the fugue, you have to talk about Johann Sebastian Bach. Nobody, and I mean nobody, did it better. For Bach, a fugue wasn't just showing off his technical skills. It was a way to create the most profound and moving music imaginable. He was the undisputed grandmaster of the fugue. So you've got all these amazing techniques. Where do you use them? Well, often on the biggest stage possible, in the spectacular worlds of opera and oratorio. Let's see how they told epic stories through music. See, if you're telling a story in an opera, you can't just have people singing beautiful arias all the time. You gotta move the plot along. That's where recitative comes in. It's a style of singing that's designed to sound a lot like natural speech. It's the musical dialogue that explains what's happening. The Italian composer Claudio Monteverdi was a true pioneer of opera.
and he totally got how powerful recitative could be. He used it to make his characters feel like real, living people and to make their conflicts feel super intense and immediate.
Now, opera had a very close cousin called the oratorio. They're super similar. Both tell a big, dramatic story with singers and an orchestra. But here are the two main differences. Oratorios are usually based on a religious theme, and, this is the big one, they aren't staged. No costumes, no sets, no acting. It's all about the music.
And the king of the oratorio? That would be George Friedrich Handel. He wrote some incredible operas, for sure, but his dramatic oratorios, like his mega-famous Messiah, are some of the most powerful and well-loved pieces from the entire Baroque period. So, we've covered the what, the who, and the how of Baroque music. But so what? Why are we still talking about this stuff nearly 300 years later? What is its lasting echo? Let's just quickly recap the essentials. The Baroque sound is all about those complex woven melodies. That's polyphony. It builds amazing things on top of repetition, using tools like the ground bass. It loves to play with intricate musical puzzles, like the canon and the fugue, and it's all in service of high drama and big emotion, especially in opera and oratorio. So here's a thought to leave you with. The next time you're listening to a movie score, or a really complex jazz solo, or even a pop song with lots of layered harmonies, listen closely. Now that you have the toolkit, where can you hear the DNA of the Baroque? You'll be amazed how often you find its echo.